I've traveled across this country for years. I've spoken to millions of people. And there's one thing I've found to be universally true. The words you speak to yourself are perhaps the most important words you'll ever hear. More important than what your teachers told you, what your parents told you, what your boss tells you. Because those words, your own words to yourself, they become the foundation of everything you build. The power of your inner dialogue. Let me ask you a question. What did you say to yourself when you woke up this morning? Was it, oh no, another day? Or was it, thank goodness, another opportunity? Most people don't realize there's a profound difference between those two statements. One leads to drudgery, the other to possibility. You see, most people are unconscious of their inner dialogue. They let it run on autopilot. And that autopilot, for most folks, was programmed by someone else, by circumstances, by past failures, by other people's opinions. Isn't that interesting? The most important conversation in your life, the one you have with yourself, and most people aren't even conscious participants. Now, here's what fascinates me. Changing your life doesn't require moving mountains. It doesn't require incredible talent or extraordinary luck. It begins with something so simple yet so profound, speaking blessings upon yourself. What are blessings? What do I mean by blessings? I'm talking about words of truth, of possibility, of future harvest. I'm talking about speaking to yourself with the same care, the same forethought, the same love you'd speak to someone you deeply cherish. In ancient times, a blessing wasn't just a nice sentiment. It was considered a force that, once released, would find its target and produce results. They understood something we've forgotten in our modern, sophisticated world. Words have creative power. Now, I'm not talking about some mystical incantation. I'm talking about the profound psychological and even neurological impact that your words have on your mindset, your emotions, your decisions, and ultimately your actions. When you speak blessings upon yourself, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're creating new neural pathways. The latest research in neuroscience confirms what the wisest among us have known for centuries. Your brain physically changes based on the thoughts you consistently think. The marketplace of ideas. Let me share something with you that changed my perspective forever. I call it the marketplace of ideas. You see, your mind is like a marketplace, and ideas are the goods being sold. Some ideas strengthen you, some weaken you. Some ideas expand your future, some limit it. And here's the key: you are the buyer in this marketplace. You decide which ideas to purchase, which words to believe, which blessings or curses to accept. But most people, they're not selective shoppers. They'll buy anything. Someone says, you can't do that, they buy it. Their own fears whisper, you're not good enough, they buy it. The news broadcasts limitations and scarcity, they buy it all. And then they wonder why their mental shelves are stocked with products that make them sick instead of strong. Starting today, I want you to become the most discriminating shopper in the marketplace of ideas. I want you to look at every thought, every word, and ask, is this a blessing I want to purchase? Is this an idea that will expand my life or contract it? The law of sowing and reaping. One of the fundamental laws of life is the law of sowing and reaping. It's as old as agriculture itself, as reliable as the seasons. Whatever you plant, that's what you harvest. No farmer plants corn and expects to harvest wheat. It doesn't work that way in nature, and it doesn't work that way in life. Your words are seeds. Let that sink in. Every word you speak to yourself is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your mind. And make no mistake, that seed will grow. If you plant seeds of doubt, I'm not sure I can do this, you'll harvest a crop of hesitation and missed opportunities. If you plant seeds of criticism, I never get it right, you'll harvest a crop of discouragement and defeatism. But if you plant seeds of blessing, I am capable of remarkable growth, you'll harvest a crop of confidence and achievement. Well, you might say, that sounds nice, Jim, but I've been speaking negatively to myself for decades. Those patterns are deeply ingrained? Yes, they are. But let me tell you something amazing about seeds. A tiny apple seed can break through concrete if given enough time. The seeds of blessing you plant today have incredible power, enough power to break through even the most hardened patterns of negative thinking. 4 kinds of blessings to speak. Now, let's get practical. There are 4 kinds of blessings I want you to learn to speak over yourself. I've studied successful people for decades, and I've found these 4 categories of self-blessing present in nearly every extraordinary life. 1. Blessings of identity. First, speak blessings about who you are. Not just what you do, but who you are at your core. Most people define themselves by their performance, their possessions, or other people's perceptions. That's shaky ground, my friends, because performances fluctuate, possessions come and go, and other people's perceptions change like the weather. Instead, speak blessings about your inherent value, your unique design, your capacity to grow and contribute. Say things like, I am a person of value regardless of my performance. I am uniquely equipped to make a contribution no one else can make. I am growing and evolving every day. I am resilient in the face of challenges. Notice these aren't empty affirmations. They're statements of truth that you're so-faced to bring to the forefront of your consciousness. When you begin to consistently speak these blessings of identity, something remarkable happens. You start to operate from a place of inherent worth rather than earned value. And that changes everything, how you show up in relationships, how you approach challenges, how you handle failures. Let me tell you about my friend Robert. Robert grew up being told he was slow, not very bright. For years he spoke those curses over himself, I'm not smart enough, I'm not quick enough. His life reflected those words, dead-end jobs, unfulfilled potential, a nagging sense that he was always behind. Then Robert learned about speaking blessings of identity. He began hesitantly at first to say, I am intelligent in my own unique way. I process information differently, and that gives me valuable perspectives others miss. Within a year, Robert had identified his unique strengths, enrolled in courses that played to those strengths, and started a consulting business that specifically utilized his methodical, thorough approach to problem solving. Today, he commands fees that would have seemed impossible to him before, all because he changed the blessings he spoke over his identity. 2. Blessings of possibility. The second category is blessings of possibility. These are words that expand your sense of what's possible in your life. You know, it's fascinating to me how most people are incredibly creative when it comes to imagining what might go wrong, but terribly limited when imagining what might go right. They can generate 50 scenarios of failure, but struggle to envision one pathway to extraordinary success. Speaking blessings of possibility reverses this pattern. It expands your imagination in the direction of positive potential. Say things like, I am open to levels of success I haven't yet imagined. Opportunities are constantly emerging in my life. I have untapped reservoirs of creativity and problem-solving ability. My future contains possibilities that would amaze me if I could see them now. When you consistently speak these blessings of possibility, you're training your reticular activating system, that part of your brain that filters information, notice opportunities it would have previously filtered out. I remember speaking to a group much like this one in Dallas a few years back. A woman named Sarah approached me afterward and told me she'd been stuck in the same administrative job for 12 years. Not because she lacked ability, but because she lacked a vision of what was possible. She began speaking blessings of possibility over herself daily. Within 3 months, she noticed an opportunity for advancement that had actually been there all along. She applied, got the position, and has since been promoted 2 more times. The opportunities didn't suddenly appear, they were always there. What changed was her ability to see them, because she had expanded her vision of what was possible. 3. Blessings of abundance. The third category is blessings of abundance. These are words that counter the scarcity mentality that plagues our culture. Look around you. We live in a world of extraordinary abundance. There is no shortage of opportunities, resources, or possibilities. And yet most people operate from a mindset of scarcity. There's not enough time, not enough money, not enough opportunities. This scarcity thinking is like a pair of dark glasses that filters out the light of abundance that surrounds us. Speaking blessings of abundance is how you remove those glasses. Say things like, I live in a world of abundance and opportunity. There is more than enough time for what truly matters in my life. Resources flow to valuable solutions and I am creating value. Every day brings new abundance into my life. Now, let me be clear. I'm not suggesting you deny reality or practical limitations. I'm suggesting you expand your awareness to include the abundance that exists alongside those limitations. When you speak blessings of abundance, you begin to notice resources you overlooked before. You become more creative in how you use what you have. You develop an investor's mindset rather than a consumer's mindset. I met a young man named Michael who wanted to start a business but was convinced he didn't have enough capital. I need at least $50,000 to get started, he told me, and I only have $5,000. I challenged Michael to speak blessings of abundance daily for 1 month. He did somewhat skeptically. But during that month, something shifted in his thinking. He began asking different questions. Instead of how can I get $50,000, he started asking, what kind of business can I start with $5,000 that could grow over time? That question led to a completely different business model than he'd originally envisioned, one with lower startup costs and higher profit margins. Today, 5 years later, his business is worth over $1 million. Not because money magically appeared, but because his perspective shifted from scarcity to abundance, allowing him to see solutions that were there all along. 4. Blessings of growth. The fourth category is blessings of growth. These are words that reinforce your capacity to learn, adapt, and evolve. In today's rapidly changing world, your ability to grow might be your most valuable asset. Yet many people speak curses over their growth potential. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm just not good at technology. I've always been this way. These words create artificial ceilings that limit how far you can go. Instead, speak blessings like, I am constantly learning and evolving. Every challenge makes me stronger and more capable. My capacity for growth is unlimited. I embrace change as an opportunity to develop new strengths. When you consistently speak these blessings of growth, you develop what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, the belief that your abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. I had a colleague named Patricia who was in her 50s when her industry underwent a dramatic technological transformation. Many of her peers took early retirement rather than adapt. They'd been speaking curses over their ability to grow. I'm too old for this new system. You can't keep up with technology these days. Patricia decided to speak different words to herself. Every morning she would say, I am fully capable of learning these new systems. My experience combined with these new skills will make me more valuable than ever. Was it easy? No. Did she sometimes feel overwhelmed? Absolutely. But those blessings of growth gave her the resilience to push through the difficult learning curve. Today, at 63, she's one of the most sought-after consultants in her field, commanding fees her younger self could hardly have imagined. The practice of blessing. Now, speaking blessings isn't just about saying the right words once or twice. It's about developing a practice, a discipline of blessing. Here's how to make this practical. Morning blessings. Start your day by intentionally speaking blessings over yourself. Before you check your phone, before you turn on the news, before the world gets a chance to tell you who you are and what's possible, speak truth to yourself. I recommend writing down specific blessings in each of the 4 categories we've discussed. Read them aloud to yourself each morning. There's something powerful about hearing these words in your own voice. Some of you might feel uncomfortable with this at first. It might seem artificial or forced. Do it anyway. The discomfort you feel is simply resistance from old thought patterns that don't want to be replaced. Push through it. The awkwardness fades with repetition. Blessings throughout the day. Don't limit your blessings to the morning. Look for opportunities throughout the day to counter negative thoughts with blessings. When you face a challenge, speak a blessing of growth. This challenge is developing new strengths in me. When you feel limited by resources, speak a blessing of abundance. I have exactly what I need to take the next step. When you make a mistake, speak a blessing of identity. I am separate from my performance. I can learn and grow from this. When you feel stuck, speak a blessing of possibility. New opportunities are emerging that I can't yet see. Make it a game. See how quickly you can catch negative self-talk and replace it with a blessing. With practice, the gap between negative thought and positive blessing will shrink until the blessing becomes your default response. Evening reflection. End your day by reflecting on the blessings that proved especially true or helpful. This reinforces their impact and helps you refine which blessings resonate most deeply with you. Ask yourself, which blessing changed my experience today? How did speaking differently to myself create different results? This reflection turns speaking blessings from a mechanical exercise into a dynamic, evolving practice that becomes increasingly personalized and powerful over time. Overcoming resistance. Now, let's address something important. When you begin speaking blessings over yourself, you'll encounter resistance. This resistance comes from three main sources. 1. Internal resistance. Part of you will resist these new words. The old patterns will fight back. You'll have thoughts like, this is silly, or who am I kidding? I don't really believe this. This is normal. Expect it even. Old neural pathways don't dissolve overnight. But here's what's fascinating. You don't have to fully believe the blessings at first for them to begin working. The act of speaking them, even with doubt, begins to create new neural pathways. Over time, as you continue the practice, these new pathways strengthen while the old ones weaken from disuse. It's like creating a new path through a field of tall grass. The first few times you walk it, the grass springs back up. But with consistent use, a clear path emerges. Your brain works the same way. 2. External resistance. Some people in your life might resist your transformation. They've grown accustomed to the old you, with all your familiar limitations and patterns. Your growth might make them uncomfortable, might hold up a mirror to their own stagnation. They might say things like, who do you think you are? Or you're getting too big for your britches. These are curses disguised as concern. When you encounter this resistance, remember other people's words only have the power you give them. You can choose to hear their curses but purchase different words in the marketplace of ideas. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for them is to create some distance while you strengthen your new patterns of blessing. 3. Cultural resistance. Our culture often rewards complaint and cynicism while penalizing optimism and self-confidence. We call complainers realistic and those who speak positively naive. This creates a subtle pressure to join in the chorus of negativity, to bond through shared grievances rather than shared possibilities. Recognize this pressure for what it is, a cultural pattern, not a truth. Choose consciously which cultural messages you'll internalize and which you'll reject. From self-blessing to blessing others. Here's something remarkable I've observed over decades of teaching these principles. As you learn to speak blessings over yourself, you naturally begin to speak blessings over others as well. The way you talk to yourself eventually becomes the way you talk to everyone else. If you're harsh and critical with yourself, you'll be harsh and critical with others, even if you try to hide it. If you speak blessings over yourself, you'll naturally extend those blessings to others. And this creates a beautiful upward spiral. As you bless others, they're more likely to bless you in return. As you speak life into their potential, they begin to see and acknowledge yours. The environment around you gradually shifts from one of criticism and limitation to one of encouragement and possibility. I've seen entire families transform when one person begins this practice. I've seen workplace cultures shift when a leader learns to speak blessings rather than curses. The impact extends far beyond your own life. It creates ripples that affect everyone around you. The results you can't expect. If you commit to this practice of speaking blessings over yourself, what results can you expect? Based on my experience and the experiences of thousands I've taught, here's what typically unfolds. Phase 1, awareness days 1 to 10. In the first phase, you simply become more aware of your current self-talk. You'll be shocked at how negative and limiting it often is. This awareness alone is transformative because you can't change what you don't notice. During this phase, speaking blessings will feel mechanical and possibly inauthentic. That's okay, you're laying groundwork. Phase 2 interruption, days 11 to 30. In the second phase, you'll get faster at catching negative self-talk and interrupting it with blessings. The gap between negative thought and positive blessing will shrink. You'll begin to notice small shifts in how you feel and how you respond to challenges. The blessings will still sometimes feel like you're putting on a garment that doesn't quite fit, but you'll have moments where they feel genuine and true. Phase 3, integration, days 31 to 90. In this phase, the blessings begin to feel more natural. You find yourself spontaneously thinking in terms of blessings rather than having to force them. Your emotional baseline shifts. You become more resilient in the face of setbacks, more creative in approaching problems, more confident in your inherent value. Others begin to notice changes in you, though they might not be able to identify exactly what's different. Phase 4, transformation, days 91. In this final phase, speaking blessings becomes your default mode. The old patterns of negative self-talk haven't completely disappeared, but they become the exception rather than the rule. You begin to make different decisions not from willpower, but from a transformed perspective on who you are and what's possible. Opportunities that were always there but invisible to you before now become apparent. Relationships improve as your new way of speaking to yourself extends to how you speak to others. And perhaps most importantly, you develop an unshakable core of inner strength that allows you to weather life's inevitable storms without being defined by them. A challenge and a promise. So let me end with a challenge and a promise. The challenge is this: commit to speaking blessings over yourself every day for the next 90 days. Not sporadically, not when you feel like it, but with disciplined consistency. Write down specific blessings in each of the 4 categories we've discussed. Speak them aloud each morning, reinforce them throughout the day, reflect on them each evening. Do this even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that's when you need it most. And here's my promise. If you do this consistently for 90 days, your life will change in ways you can't yet imagine. Not because of some magical power in the words themselves, but because you will have literally rewired your brain to perceive different possibilities, to notice different opportunities, to make different decisions. I've seen this transformation in thousands of lives across all backgrounds and circumstances. I've seen it work for the young and the old, for those with abundant advantages and those who face tremendous adversity. The common denominator was simply this: they made a decision to change the words they spoke to themselves, and they stuck with that decision long enough for it to change them. Will you make that decision today? Will you have the courage to speak blessings when everything around you invites cursing? Will you have the discipline to maintain this practice even when it feels uncomfortable or artificial? Will you have the wisdom to recognize that the words you speak to yourself are literally shaping the life you will live tomorrow? I believe you will. More than that, I believe you already have everything you need to begin this transformation right now, today. The philosopher and emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." He understood this profound truth thousands of years ago. Your life follows your thoughts, and your thoughts are shaped by your words. So begin today to speak blessings upon yourself. Begin today to lay the foundation for a transformed life. Begin today to harness the creative power of your words. And as you do, remember that you're not just changing your own experience. You're creating ripples that will extend to everyone around you, your family, your colleagues, your community. That's the extraordinary power of speaking blessings. It transforms not just a life, but a world. Thank you.